Hey everybody, my name is Stan Prokopenko. Welcome to Proko. This is a critique episode, and I'm going to be critiquing your assignments from the lower back anatomy lesson. If you haven't seen that lesson yet, go ahead and watch it. I got a link in the description below. So the first critique is for Todd Yeager. So let's take a look at what you got, Todd. Cool, very nice. First thing I'm seeing, very large in the head here. Watch those proportions. Second thing that I noticed was that your overlap of the lat and teres major is a little bit off. So teres major, let's say, is going to be like right there. The lat isn't going to come out in front of it or on the back. It's going to overlap right here, and then it's going to swing around to the front. And so it'll kind of cross at it like that. So teres major is going to pop out of the lat like that. Okay? You have the lat covering it all the way through into the armpit. And maybe what threw you off was that on the reference, you got the lat in here and the teres major in here. But the thing is that the tricep is covering up what's happening in there. You don't have the tricep in there, so you're showing what's underneath. And what's underneath is actually this. Another thing is, it looks like you're forgetting the two forms of the erector spinae. So you're showing these vertical tubes right in here. These guys, these tubes. But you're forgetting about this large mass in here. You got to show this lateral form of the erector spinae. It'll be like that. In this pose, the medial form is actually really small and being completely covered up by the lateral form. So watch out for that. You know, if you're looking straight on from the back, you'll have in the lower back the two vertical tubes, and then on the sides the two big guys going all the way up. Right, and then you got sacrum, like so. I did not mean to draw on that. All right, let's move on. Thank you, Todd Yeager. Let's move on to Rich Carey. Okay, Rich, this is a really good drawing. Very nice and clean. You're showing your forms. It's a good style, and I think a lot of people really enjoy this. Personally, I think it feels a little too airbrushed and soft. Your forms could pop a lot more, and it could be a much stronger statement if you just work your edges and your values a little bit better. So I'm going to go right over on top of yours and just develop some of these forms a little bit better. So for example, your core shadows could be defined better. Like I could go in here and darken the core shadow on the rib cage a little bit. I could darken the core shadow on here a little bit. And then it's not just about darkening the core shadows, it's also about the edge work. So for example, the edge in here for the cast shadow, I'm going to make it a little bit sharper. And see how that pops that form out of the erector spinae? I could even make it just a little bit lighter right around there, and it'll pop it even more. I could do the same thing right there in the scapula area. Sharpen that edge. Maybe a little bit too dark. The value is off. The edge that I put down is fine, but I made it just a little bit too light there. Okay. Let's define this core shadow in here a little bit better. This core shadow I'm making a lot thinner than the core shadow on the rib cage because it's a smaller form. See how some of these are just really starting to pop. Define this in here. And then I can darken this entire area a little bit if I feel like it's popping out too much, but the edges should stay the same. That's an issue kind of like with traditional work. People will smudge something to darken it. And a whole area will just smudge it out and it'll blur it. But it's not just, sometimes you don't need to blur it. Sometimes you just need to add a glaze of value, a darkening to it. So like in here, I just darkened this whole area of light, but the edges stayed sharp. Right, this edge right in here stays sharp. Okay, same thing on this side. Strong core shadow and then soften out to really define this shape in here, this roundness. And then I still want to define the roundness of that cylinder going all the way down to the sacrum. It's not as strong as it is up here, but it slowly fades out. Some of these reflected lights I feel like are a little bit too bright. Working our way down to the hips. Just this whole picture just needs to pop more. And here's another area where adding a sharp edge will really, really help. Right in there. I mean, you can see it in the photo reference. It's a sharp edge. And so if you're making it blurry, it gets that airbrushed effect where everything looks blurry and nothing stands out, nothing pops. And then don't forget about some highlights. Highlight through there. Some stronger sharps through there. And I could really just keep going through your whole drawing, blurring out some core shadows, darkening core shadows, sharpening edges where the form ends suddenly or there's a cast shadow. And when I do that through the whole drawing, it's really gonna pop everything. Like look at the neck in here. You have it really blurry, but if I define that core shadow, make it a stronger statement, now that starts to really pop. Oh, while we're talking about edges, don't forget that sometimes we transition from a soft or a round form to a much smaller, sharper form. Like in here in the sacrum, this is a sharp, small form, and then as we transition to the glutes, it becomes larger and softer. So you have to show that in your core shadow. You see how the core shadow up here is real sharp, and then as we come down, we'll soften out. Okay, so look at the difference here. This is yours, and then once I work on those values and edges and make things really pop, look at that. Real big difference. Things start to really come out. I could feel the forms of things. So I hope that'll help you in some of your future shading efforts. Let's move on to Rebecca Shay. I like what you're doing in here. I like how you're looking for the structure underneath. You're drawing complete forms. You're really doing an anatomy study. So that's good. One issue is that this area that you're studying is a little bit off. Looks like you have the teres major underneath right here and in here as well, which is correct. It would go underneath the lat. However, your indication of the lat is a little bit weird. You have it kind of going down and around like this, which means what is this stuff in here, right? The lat will come down like this. So you're not going to see all of this indication in here of the teres major. This will all be lat, and then teres major will be in here. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Basically, the teres major is only going to be visible on the outside. The lat is going to cover it up completely in the armpit, in the front. Okay, so this next critique is for Alyssa Lee. Let's see, you got 2 tries here. Looks like they're pretty good, actually. One issue that I am seeing through here is you're missing this angle. Most of yours, or both of these, are just kind of straight up again. That's another gesture thing. But as far as anatomy goes, scapula is too small. I'd say the teres major would be all the way down here. This should be a little bit more vertical as it follows the spine up. You made the abs a little bit too thick, so it makes his waist thick, and you're losing that triangular shape for his body. See how you got that real strong triangle in here. And this being so wide on yours we're missing that triangle. So first of all, this is going to be all the way out here. By bringing this teres major out lower, you're kind of adding to that triangle. Maybe a little bit thicker in the lat, and then bringing the obliques out here and the abs out there. There. So now we're bringing that triangle shape back into this drawing. First attempt, similar things happening. It's mostly gestural stuff. This one in here, again, remember the lat goes underneath and to the front of the teres major, and you're putting it over in here. Also, the lat isn't going to wrap around in such an extreme manner in there. It's gonna go over the teres major and just curve up to the spine like that. It's a very simple arc. Also, too small in this scapula. It's gonna be about half the size of the rib cage. So if this is the height of the rib cage, scapula is going to be about that tall. So you're missing about 30% there. For him, again, you're missing that V shape. So the lat's going to be all the way out here. Then you got a little bit of the pec. A little bit stronger in the abs in here. A little bit too small again in the scapula. It'll be about there. As far as gesture goes, right in here we're going to push that center line out, following this curve. And then the head is going to be all the way out, somewhere around there. And we're going to push that shoulder out as well. Again, too straight. So if we're seeing a pattern. Whenever you see a pattern, you're going to have to really focus on fixing it, because for some reason you are automatically doing this thing. You're not even thinking about it. Your eye is just seeing things too vertical, too straight. Look at this line. Look at his. He's really pulling his neck forward, and you're missing that in your drawing. And because he's pulling his shoulders forward, the scapulas are rotating around the rib cage to the front, so the ridge isn't going to be all the way back here. It's going to be right around there. If I'm going off of the placement of your rib cage, it's going to be right around there, bringing the teres major much closer to the arm. So see how much stretch you're showing in that teres major? It's not going to be that much. In fact, I'm seeing a pretty nice bulge in there. It's kind of active. He's flexing his whole upper body, and it's bulging that teres major through that area. But for the lat, also too straight. I mean, if you got reference, why not observe the actual shape of that lat? It's gonna go around, overlap the teres major, more so in the back, and then come down. He's really flexing it. He's probably pulling on his knee, and in order to pull downward, you have to flex the lat. And so that's really active in there. Okay, cool. Thank you, Alisa, or Alyssa. So thank you everybody for submitting your drawings. I had a lot of fun critiquing you. Hope you learned a lot, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Thanks guys, bye. So we have a premium section for students that want to learn more. The premium section has extended lessons with more information about the topic. It also has additional drawing demonstrations. If you do the assignments for each lesson, these demonstrations serve as the answers for the assignment, so you can check your work. There's an ebook version of each lesson that you can download as a PDF. Print them out or keep them on your device so you can quickly review the lessons. And finally, the premium section has 3D models that you can spin around, study, and draw from any angle. If you don't want your drawings to look like this, go to proko.com/anatomy. If you like this video, don't be all selfish. Share it with your friends. And if you want to be updated about new videos, click this button or go to proko.com/subscribe.